All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Astronaut, and you actually get to see me. I have not changed. I still look the same. Yay! Okay, guys, let me lower my laptop so you don't get so much glare in my glasses. But anyway, so I wanted to do a part two because part one would have been way too long if I had gone into like all the details of everything that I was kind of taking from the trailer. But the first thing that I want to get to is I think the most obvious thing that you notice in the trailer, and this is my opinion, but I think one of the biggest statements that I get from the trailer is the fact that I think seeing Raiden with the red lightning is a confirmation that he is indeed going to be Dark Raiden. So I think number one, he is going to be dark. That's definitely a confirmation that we get from the cinematic trailer. Number two, I think here we have a mystery of two scorpions, and I've kind of heard some people kind of get a little confused about this, and it kind of threw me off too. But I believe the reason why we have two scorpions, I think, is twofold. The first reason is I believe they're using both of the Raidens to show that there will be gear customization. Because if you notice, both Raidens are wearing two different outfits. Both of them are wearing different variations of course, the same, red and black traditional garb that Scorpion wears. But I think this is a very clever, if I'm right, then I think this is a very clever way for NetherRealm to suggest or hint at the idea that gear customization will be present in Mortal Kombat 11. Another thing that, oh yeah, and the second thing I said it was twofold, the double scorpions. I think the second reason is if it's not for the purpose of showing gear customization, which I think it is. I also think that NetherRealm, by Scorpion being the mascot and the face of NetherRealm, I honestly don't think NetherRealm wanted to do a cinematic trailer where Scorpion is officially defeated. So I think it's interesting that they kind of brought things full circle by bringing in the second Scorpion after the first Scorpion dies, so that the second Scorpion can finish what the first Scorpion didn't. So of course, once again, we get another cinematic trailer of Scorpion being victorious, him being the face and mascot of NetherRealm. And of course, someone on another channel said we never see Scorpion get defeated. He never gets killed. So I think NetherRealm does that intentionally. So I think that might have been possibly a second reason of why they did a second Scorpion. But I do have a lot of faith in thinking that the two Scorpions are meant to demonstrate a gear customization, since both of them are wearing two different brands or two different styles of clothes. Another thing that I noticed in the video is that the fact that they were using hip hop music. I've always been of the persuasion that NetherRealm purposely shied away from using like R&B, like hip hop or rap tracks, because I felt like that might have been too exclusive of a genre of music, and would have catered to too specific of an audience. But I think it was very fitting by them using it in this particular trailer, because first off, the violence level, of course, is always, just over the top. More so on this one. Well, in Mortal Kombat X, I think Sub-Zero got beheaded and then the spear went through his head against the tree. This one, Raiden gets beheaded and the spear goes through his mouth in the midair. So, but if you look at the blow by blow, I thought that the rap and the hip hop kind of added an extra edge, because if you listen to the lyrics are actually outlining, a very violent storyline as well. So lyrically, you're getting a real hard-hitting lyrical deliverance of a violent rap, and then on top of that, you have the blow by blow of what's happening between Scorpion and Raiden. So I think the using the hip hop and R&B, the hip hop and rap kind of like amps up the edginess to to the attacks, to the not necessarily to the brutality of it all, but just really kind of throwing it a bit more in your face. You're getting the lyrical content, and you're also getting the visuals of the blow by blows in the fight. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the character who is seen we don't necessarily know exactly where this character is located. They could be in outer space. They could be in another dimension. I think this person who's standing next to this hourglass thing could very well be either an elder god, because every time we see the elder gods, they're always, filled with light and power. And this character seems to have images of light that's kind of like cascading off of their hair. I mean, on the top of their head and from the tips of their fingers. So I'm thinking this is either an elder god character, or of course it could be a brand new character that is just specifically for the game itself. Now, the backdrop of where this new character was is very interesting, because it introduced the idea to me that perhaps they might be expanding the Mortal Kombat world to either another dimension or to space. And that is pretty revolutionary for Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat is always, all the backgrounds and the backdrops either take place on a hill, on a mountain, inside of a building, on top of this, on top of that, in a canyon somewhere, the marketplace, like we saw in Mortal Kombat X, the training room, places like that, temples. So, the idea that there's this mysterious character who might be looking down at Earth from either outer space, or there potentially being a backdrop or a background where the characters are actually combating in space or whatever. I thought that would be an interesting idea. I don't know how much validity I can put into that. Knowing with the trend of Mortal Kombat, it's probably more likely that this character is in another dimension versus being in space, because space has never really been a major theme in Mortal Kombat ever. So yes. Also, I think Shao Khan. I think using Shao Khan as a pre-order bonus was a very smart move. A lot of people miss Shao Khan, and I think making him a pre-order bonus, that kind of exempted him from being a main character on the, in the story mode. Because I believe Goro, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been so long, but I don't think Goro was in the story mode at all for Mortal Kombat X. If he was, it was a very small little background or whatever. But by having Shao Kahn as a pre-order bonus, that allowed them to include him in the game without him being a major character or having him be in the storyline at all, because we all know that Mortal Kombat 11 is a continuation of what started in Mortal Kombat 9, and we all know that Shao Kahn has been defeated by the Elder Gods. So, and personally, I'm not necessarily, I like the idea of keeping him playable rather than having him come back in the main narrative of the game. I'd rather just have him as a pre-order bonus than to see him come back, because I think NetherRealm should focus on trying to elevate the Mortal Kombat franchise to a whole new realm of, introducing new storylines, introducing new characters, introducing new possibilities out there, new realms, just beginning to kind of like move forward. Although in videos past I have spoken on the idea of the prequel, which has always been, I'd love to see a prequel with Mortal Kombat, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, and I'm not going to waste time on this video talking about it. Anyways, so yeah, so I think that's pretty much all that I really wanted to expand upon. When I was looking at the backdrop to where Scorpion and Raiden were fighting, I thought it was really interesting, because I wasn't sure how much merit I should put into the overall appearance of the backdrop, because the backdrop seemed to be Raiden's temple, either Raiden's temple or something like that. But this is another really good point that I wanted to make. One thing I did not like is, well, this is not the part that I didn't like. What I did notice, before I get to the part I don't like, what I noticed is that this cinematic trailer resembles the cinematic trailer to Mortal Kombat X. And to be honest with you, I noticed more upgrades happening in Mortal Kombat X in the cinematic trailer for that, because there was definitely so much detail in the outfits for Sub-Zero and Scorpion. There were, it was very clear that there was going to be a more attention given to the visual looks of the characters, but from the cinematic trailer, and the fact that, Scorpion and Sub-Zero went on to wear, those were options that you could choose in the game. Those were in-game costumes that they were wearing in the cinematic trailer. So we all knew from the cinematic trailer that Mortal Kombat X was going to be, a few steps higher than what we had seen in Mortal Kombat 9. Now, Mortal Kombat 11 seems to be a direct sequel, and there's been some speculation. I read an article, which I should do a video on, that NetherRealm has been going in the direction of doing a direct sequel. And if that's the case, then I think we can anticipate that Mortal Kombat 11 won't necessarily be just a huge leap over Mortal Kombat 10, but by it being a direct sequel, we can pretty much anticipate more of a continuation of what was set in motion in Mortal Kombat 10. And then, of course, if they want to add the gear customization and the more and yada yada yada, that'll be fine too. But it's, in terms of just a complete overhaul visually, the cinematic trailer for Mortal Kombat 11 does not look like a complete visual overhaul of the Mortal Kombat franchise. It looks like a direct continuation of pretty much what we're already familiar with from Mortal Kombat 10. Mortal Kombat 10 was a huge visual jump over Mortal Kombat 9, and then Mortal Kombat 11 seems to kind of stay on that same plateau, except now I think we can anticipate deeper, more complex story mode or storylines. We can anticipate more of a complexity in that sense. Raiden going dark, that's definitely going to take us down some twists and turns. Of course, we're going to see some new characters and stuff. So a lot of this seems like not only is it going to be a sequel, but it's going to be more of like a chapter 2 to Mortal Kombat 10, which I'm totally fine with. I'm totally fine with a chapter 2 to that. On top of that, looks like they're probably going to throw in the gear customization, like I said, with the two Scorpions who have two different outfits on. So now, don't get me wrong, I could be wrong on that because okay. So let's get on to the part that I don't like. The one part that I did not like, and this kind of comes from the stills that I saw from the in gameplay. The characters did kind of have like a look to them that reminded me of Injustice 2. And if you remember Injustice 2, the characters, I don't know. There was a look about them, probably because of the gear. The gear customization I kind of felt made the characters look a little more shiny. A little more, I don't know, shiny. Excuse me. So when I saw the stills, the characters looked a little shiny to me. I mean, it reminded me of the appearance of the characters in Injustice 2. And we all know that Injustice 2 had the gear customization. And with all the different ways that you could customize your characters in Injustice 2, I kind of thought that it rendered a lot of characters as looking a bit shiny and almost like action figure-ish, just a tad bit. But in now, to me, the characters still look like themselves. Like I said, Mortal Kombat 11, I don't think is going to be a total overhaul and a total jump from Mortal Kombat 10. So I feel like it's going to be a lot of similarities in the visuals and the graphics. But in the stills that I saw, and noticing certain parts of the armor that the characters are wearing in some of the stills, it does look like gear customization is going on, some mixing and matching or some different combinations of things coming together. And the characters did kind of have a bit of a shininess to them, just a touch. I don't like that. That was the one thing I didn't want to see happen with Mortal Kombat 11, just having the characters almost, start taking on this kind of, shiny, action figure-ish type of appearance. One thing I liked about Mortal Kombat 10 is that the characters did not look like action figures. The characters looked very organic. It looked very natural. They all looked like they belonged in their element. All of them who had, like Sub-Zero had his stage, and that stage seemed to fit his personality perfectly. Sonya Blade, Special Forces, they had their stage of the training, which seemed to, of course, fit their personalities. Who else had it? Raiden, of course, had the Sky Temple, and that seemed to fit his. So much of what happened in Mortal Kombat 10 was very organic, very fluid, very normal. The costumes, even though they did not have gear customization, but the different options, the different costumes that could be chosen, they did seem to fit very well. They've stayed true to the inherent nature of the characters. So you didn't get them starting to look like comic book type characters. All of their costumes were fitted specifically to them and to the role that they played in the story. Of course, there were a few exceptions because Scorpion had the thermo costume, which was, of course, I don't know where they got that from. But for the most part, all the costumes showed reflected a different element or nature to that character, and I appreciated that. I appreciated that thought put into the clothes. Now with gear customization, I feel like that kind of takes away some of the organicness of how the characters will appear and how it will all blend in with the backdrop, with the narratives of everything. Of course, part of having gear customization is being able to do whatever the hell you want to do with the character. And of course, for some people, they want to have their characters looking completely, turned inside out, sometimes, or wearing colors that would not normally be on these characters. But anyway, so that's a concern of mine. Anyways, so yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it for my part two. There's some other things that I'll go into in some other videos. There's a lot of coverage right now. God, there's tons of footage right now for me to be able to cover. So I'm gonna try to keep up with it and keep it coming. Okay, guys. Thank you. Leave a comment below. Like, comment, subscribe. See you later. Astronaut out.